Hey everyone, so the weather's been shitty and I've been kind of busy, and this is the first clear day I've had where I wasn't too terribly busy, where I could actually do something since I unboxed my welder. Now I do want to apologize for, one, this being kind of a slideshow rather than an actual video, but I only have enough safety equipment for myself, and the only video camera I have is my tablet, and usually my girlfriend films me with the tablet, but there was one other problem, that being lots of bugs outside today, because I only have outside to work in, and my girlfriend, I can only guess because she's so damn sweet, gets bit more often by the bugs than I do. So, going to go ahead and apologize for the slideshow here, and also the shitty quality of my digital camera. So, let's move on. I do want you to know that I have been doing a lot of reading since my last video, and also that book there, Metals and How to Weld Them, as well as the Gas Metal Arc Welding book, I got those from the James F. Lincoln Foundation, and I'll put a link to them down below in case anybody else needs to get some books for learning how to weld. When I was doing some cleaning up, I found some pieces of 5/16 plate, actually some pretty big pieces of 5/16 plate, and I cut it up into these little bits that I'm going to weld together today. I also found this welding cart in the shed that I can only assume my father bought like right after he retired, and I probably assembled it, I probably put it out in the shed, and then I probably forgot about it, because I don't remember this thing. But I've got a welding cart. It needs to be cleaned up, it needs to be reinforced, but it's still a welding cart, so that's going to save me a little bit of money and a trip to the local Harbor Freight, which I'm pretty sure was where that was purchased from anyways. So being that this is 5/16 steel, I'm going to need to set up my welder for Flux Core welding, because I was checking the chart on the inside of the welder, and it told me that I need to use Flux Core for 5/16, and I've never worked with Flux Core. I've never done any kind of a multi-pass process, and I've never welded anything thicker than sheet metal, and it's been like 10 years since the last time I had a welder in my hand, so what could possibly go wrong? So the first thing I had to do was consult my manual and set up my welder for using the Flux Core wire, which means I had to change out the inner wire guides, I had to change out the rollers. I also had to make sure the polarity was set right, because Flux Core uses DC negative, so I had to set that up, and when I was done setting that up, it was on to putting the wire guides together and getting that put together properly so it feeds the wire. And that's the chart on the inside of the welder that told me that I needed to use the Flux Core 5/16, and also what settings to use on the welder. So when I tried to feed the wire through the gun, I had a slight problem. In fact, it stopped moving, it kinked up, and I'm like, the fuck? And then I go and I look and I notice my wire is tangled up on the spool. Not happy about that, had to cut all that out and replace it. And once I did, I was finally able to get some wire coming out of the gun. So I then put the Flux Core tip on the gun as well as the Flux Core cone, which is, all this is totally new to me. I'm used to welding with gas. This is a gasless process and I'm not used to that. So again, what could possibly go wrong doing stuff that I ain't never done before? So I went and set up a couple of those metal bits. I decided to go, let's go for something easy, a nice horizontal weld. So, put two of those bits up on my magnet so I could tack weld them together, because magnets, how do they work? And I proceeded to put the two ugliest tack welds anyone could ever weld on it. After that, well, that was my first joint that I made with my welder. Thank you, dear. And I have to say, that is just fucking hideous. And I do have to continue and go on to say that I do understand Flux Core does produce kind of an ugly weld. I'm not going to get that nice pretty MIG weld. I'm certainly not going to get that nice pretty stack of dimes TIG weld. But that's pretty ugly. I mean, there's no excuse for that. That's just awful. But I'm pretty sure everyone else's first welds were at least as bad. Thanks, dear. So, moving on, decided to try a few different joints, and a few T-joints, a few corner joints, and I think I progressively got better. Not great, but I think my last couple of welds, I think actually turned out pretty good. And then this happened. The machine just stopped working, stopped feeding, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I turn around and I see this. Now, to give you an idea how bad this is, the wire is actually welded to the inner shrouding. So I had to file that off, I got it out, and I got to finish this weld. You can see pretty much where I started over, but I think it actually started coming out pretty good until I tried to weld over that nice pretty weld and produce this ugly mess. But all in all, if you look at the pieces that I welded today, I think there was definitely progression, and I think I did slowly, progressively get better at this. So I still need a lot more practice, obviously. But those are the first joints I welded with this new welder. Again, having never used this particular welder before, having never done Flux Core before, having never welded anything thicker than sheet metal before, I think I did at least halfway decent. I mean, there's still lots of room for improvement here, but I'm getting used to it. I'm getting used to the machine. I'm getting used to how to dial in the welder. So lots more work, lots more practice on my part, but I did want to share that to kind of show that I have actually been doing stuff. And I think I'm still better off teaching myself how to weld than, say, for instance, taking a gender studies degree. So thanks for watching, everyone.